You believe in the day of judgment?
I think it will come. I
Okay.
don't know what that'll look like. I'm not.
No, neither do I. We don't know what it's going. We are giving certain glimpses of it in the Islamic literature, but
It
none of
doesn't
us.
look too good for women, though.
No, no, no. Hold on. By the way, whether women or men, one thing in Islam is clear:
Yeah.
that Allah will not judge you based on your gender, or whether you're white or black, or you're rich or poor, you're Arab or non-Arab. Allah will base you on your piety. He'll judge you based on your piety.
So what's the woman's version of heaven? And ask me for my view.
Yeah, normally the newspapers, they say that whenever England loses, there's a lot of cases of abuse.
Okay.
You heard of that, right?
Let's go.
Hashim, go over there.
Yeah, sure. You don't mind me recording?
Let's go. Let's go away from this conversation.
Okay.
Because if we're talking about domestic abuse, it doesn't matter whether you're English or whatever.
No, I'm saying the link between football and
Okay. So
women's rights.
Okay. The link between football and women's rights.
Yeah.
Basically, that's a skewed. If you want to talk about domestic violence, I'm quite happy to talk to you about domestic violence.
In relation to football, I'm saying. Because that was your initial line.
No.
I said we are talking about football and
okay, all right.
feminism. That's why I linked
Right. Okay.
my question to that.
But you think that incorrectly.
Okay, which part is
We
incorrect?
were talking about this lovely gentleman here approached me
Yeah.
and said, "What do you think of football?" So I talked to him and gave him a commentary about the football game. And then we had the conversation about domestic violence. It had nothing to do with football. And the conversation I'm having now is basically that I do not want to put football and domestic violence in the same ballpark, because statistically domestic violence rises when football matches are on, especially during World Cup times.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
That is definitely what happens.
Okay. That's good. At least we agree on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is there any other point you're going to try and...
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what topic it was discussing.
But that's all we were
So,
discussing.
if that was the only link between football and feminism, then
Well, that was the only link we had. We didn't
Yeah.
have any other links.
right. So when you talk about feminism, what exactly do you mean? Because I know feminism went through several stages.
Okay, so you tell me what you want me to talk about.
No, but I don't want to mansplain. So maybe
No.
if it's coming from you, it'll be better.
You can tell me in detail
Okay.
exactly.
I don't
from
need
your
to, because
perspective.
the thing is-
Yeah, but you approached me. So if you approach me,
Yeah.
you're beginning the conversation. So if you wish to have a conversation to me,
Okay.
you need to be asking me the question.
Right. So if I approached you, I'll be asking the question. Is that what you're saying? Okay, then it doesn't need to be about feminism. How about we discuss God?
Okay.
Yeah? Do you believe in God?
Okay. So yes, go on.
You do believe in God?
Yes, I believe there's a being up there.
Okay. We
Our,
must
relation,
come.
our job as a human being is to live our best life,
Yeah.
is to be kind to people,
Okay.
is to be respectful to people, and basically live a life that is worthy, not by deeds, but by purpose of being a godly person.
Okay.
But our interpretations on what a godly person are can be different.
So again, you're telling me what is your purpose?
Yes.
I'm saying, okay, what rights does God have over you?
What?
Does He have rights on you?
I think that's kind of maybe humanizing God a bit.
No. God, do you not think God is personal God? Do you think He's like a distant being?
Well, I just think God is ever there, but I don't think God has rights over us, because you would say that you practice your religion freely, right? So there is an expectation, if you're practicing something freely, that a person wouldn't have rights over you, but that because you've accepted your religion, you would follow that freely without having to have any rights. Because your belief is about your purpose, your motivation, not what your right is.
Yeah. Again, you're answering what is you as a human being in relation to God. I keep asking you, what is it that God expects of you? Let's put it that way.
But I have explained to you
Yeah.
that God expects you to live a godly life.
Okay. And how would you know the life
That,
anyone lives is in line with a godly life or
Okay.
not? How would you know that?
okay. So if we look at every religion, for example, So if you look at Islam, if you look at Christianity, there is a certain set of rules. And in that set of rules, it sets guidelines. Most religions set the guidance of be kind to your neighbours,
Okay.
be kind to each other, and love your God as you love yourself. Okay? That's the expectation of all religions.
Yeah.
Or the majority.
So there are do's and don'ts in the guideline.
In the guidance, there are do's and don'ts.
Okay.
Now, the do's and don'ts can vary between religions.
Yes, they do.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you can do what you do.
Yeah, we call it halal and haram, the do's and the don'ts. So, are you a Christian, by the way?
No, I'm just a person.
Okay, you're just a person. Of course, I'm not talking to an alien. I hope.
No. I'm just an average Joe.
Okay.
Just call me an average Joe.
So, if you're not a Christian, then how would you recognize your God? Because the Christians will say from the Bible. You are saying you're not a Christian. You're just a free agent. So the question is, how would you know what God expects of you? How would you know the do's and the don'ts? Because I don't know if you have a scripture like the Bible or the Quran.
You have. Look, I've kind of observed several. I've kind of taken guidance from several. And
Sorry, you taken guidance?
I've taken guidance from several. I've looked at several. And I've also taken the example of the background that I'm brought from. The background from where I'm from.
You're from a
So-
Christian background.
I'm from a Christian background. Well, not really. I went to church when I was young.
No, I'm not judging, I'm asking a question.
So my background, my background.
I don't know why you got defensive there.
I'm not getting. If I was getting defensive,
Okay, I'm asking you a question. You said background, but you didn't elaborate. So I said, are you from a Christian background?
but then you said I was defensive. I haven't got defensive.
Okay, good. So,
I'm remaining very.
no problem. Are your parents Christians?
Not really. No.
No, what does that mean? Like, did they not proclaim to be Christians?
They believe there's a heaven. They believe if they die they're going to go somewhere.
Okay. Did they go to church?
When they were younger, yes. But-
Okay, so they are
okay.
Christians, yeah?
But
Yeah.
there were standards they set. So when I was brought up, it would be kind to others,
Okay.
be considerate, look after your neighbours, respect your elders,
Yeah.
and have basic respect for everybody in the world.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to understand from you. Like, you see, a Christian will get that from the Bible, a Muslim will get that from the Quran, the Hindus will get it probably from the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Where will you get it from?
Basically, like I said, it would be from my family, from reading several sources, and basically observing and living in this world and having almost 60 years experience in the world.
Okay, so going back to your earlier point, you said that there are variations in different religions, the do's and the don'ts do vary. So how will you determine which one you should pick and which one you should reject?
I think the thing is you're saying which one is better and which one is not.
No, according to you.
No.
Because you wouldn't accept everything in the religions, would you?
But what you're saying is which religion is better and which religion
No.
is worse.
I'm saying based on your worldview, here the question.
My worldview is.
Let me finish the question so you understand better what I'm asking. You do not subscribe to a religion so far from
No, I
the...
don't subscribe to
Okay, so
yeah.
because you do not subscribe to an organized religion,
Yes.
which have their own religious scriptures,
Yeah.
how would you verify what to take as the do's and the don'ts? Is it based on your own
It's my own lived experience.
okay, so is your own experience? Could your own whims and desires come into that?
Here we go. If we look at where I'm from and where you're from, have our lives been any different? Probably.
Everyone's lives are different. Even your parents compared to you might be different.
Have we both done right or wrong in our lives?
Yes, we all are sinners,
So,
yeah.
It's what you've done in your life, and what I've done in my life, any good, or any worse, or any better than the other one.
I don't know how that answers my question.
Okay. Are you respectful to your neighbours?
I am, yeah.
Am I respectful to
I don't know.
Yeah.
How would I know?
Okay.
Okay.
You don't know, but I took your answer as a yes.
That's
okay?
fine. I mean,
Right?
I'll take your testimony, no problem.
Okay, so am I kind to people? Are you kind to people?
Yeah, I am, but not to the wicked people.
Right, okay. So, do I treat men appropriately?
I don't know.
Do I treat women appropriately? Yes, I do, because I've been brought up to be respectful of both.
Right.
Right. So I've been brought up with that experience of the world. So, from your perspective, what can I do to improve my life experience?
Actually, I'm not here to tell you how you can.
No, but I'm asking.
No, no.
I've asked you an open question.
I think the question I asked, once again, it looks like it hasn't been answered. I said, how will you pick what is good and bad? Because you see, what might be good for you might be bad for your parents. What might be bad to your parents might be good to you. So even though you're born in the same country, lived in the same maybe environment, the same neighborhood, yeah, your perspective and your parents' perspective might be different. So how will you as an individual who do not subscribe to a religion, where you get your do's and don'ts from a scripture, how will you determine what is good and bad? Because good and bad are subjective.
Okay. So here we go. Like I said to you again, you don't know me, I don't know you. I live my life as I choose to live my life, and you live your life by a set of religious rules. Okay, that would be correct?
That's fair, yeah. That's a fair analysis.
Okay. Does it make our lived experience any different?
Okay. Are you at all going to answer my question? Because it looks like every time I ask you this question, you try to put it back to me.
I'm not doing that. All I'm saying to you is.
So please answer the question.
Right. Well.
How would you determine good and bad if they are subjective?
Well, basically, my determination of good and bad is my lived experience and what my parents taught me. And also about looking at the world and observing it and going, what things can hurt people and what things can better people. So if I choose the better path, which is something my father taught me, to choose the better path, and if I'm kind to people and respectful of people and treat people as I find them and not judge them, then basically I'll live a good life. So I was quite lucky in the sense that my parents taught me from a good base, a good set of rules and a good set of expectations, and I have set those rules and expectations in my life. Now where they've got them from is from years and years and generations of probably like your parents, where you got your values from and your rules from, and how we treat our peers and the people we are near to. So I didn't get it from a religion. My values may have come from a set of rules that my parents gave me, but I would say to you that I don't think I've suffered any because of my journey.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, may I ask a question, both of you, in order to identify what is good and bad? So the question is: the common sense is universal?
I think so. I think people know, like, if you steal, it's bad. Yes. If you murder, it's bad. If you hit a woman, it's bad. Yes.
What if you hit a man?
It's bad.
I hope you said that as well. Okay.
If you hit a man, it's
Yeah.
bad. Okay.
And so, generally speaking, you don't need to be religious to identify exactly what you said. An atheist could say everything that you said, and they could be a good person. In fact, there are many good atheists, some of them better than these so-called people who claim to practice a religion. So I don't know how I would differentiate you from an atheist, because what you said is going based on your own whims and desires, and this is something, like I said many times, biases come in. For example, if you live in the West here, your dress code might be different to you living in the East. Yeah, they might consider that sometimes the people in the West, they dress provocatively, and they will judge them based on them. Similarly, the people living in the West, they will judge a Muslim woman who is only showing her eyes in her.
But that's.
Hear me out, please. I'll let you finish. Okay? So you see, the perspective can differ. Even though that woman who might be just showing her eyes is covering for the sake of her religion and modesty, but you, because you come from a different culture and background, you will judge her. It's like, was it Nigel Farage, or was it one of the prime ministers?
Boris Johnson.
Yeah, Boris Johnson. Call them basically like bin bags or something like that, or post boxes or whatever. So you see, the perspectives do differ, and that's why we need a more streamlined set of rules of the do's and the don'ts that come from someone who is much higher than us, who will not use, which the rules are not based on an individual's whims and desires. Because you see, you do acknowledge that you're wrong in your life many times, right?
Well, we all are.
Exactly. So how would you say that this conclusion you came to, what is good and bad, is you're not wrong about that?
Okay. So, going back, right?
Yeah.
My opinion is that the perception is that I think that I don't dress ultra provocatively.
Oh no, I don't mean you personally.
No.
I said the West. That's why. Yeah.
Right, I don't dress ultra provocatively.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Right, but if a woman because of her religion, chooses to wear the niqab
Yeah.
and follow that practice, that is entirely her choice. It's from her
Beautiful. Yeah.
perspective.
I like the fact that you knew the term niqab.
Yes.
Okay, mashallah.
It's
Okay.
absolutely her choice.
Yeah.
Because her scripture the Quran commands that, although it's unofficially not in the Quran, the term hijab is not in the Quran. It is a form of covering that is in the
No, the
Quran.
description is there.
Yeah, the description is there.
Yeah.
But there are variations of that description. But if a woman wants to wear the hijab, I have no problem with that because
Okay.
I acknowledge that she is free to practice her religion, and so she should be,
Okay.
without judgment.
No, that's fair. You see, and that's where we come to. I mean, that was a beautiful answer. And if, like, when I mentioned about good and bad,
Yes.
again we come down to life choice. For example, I don't know if you are pro-choice or pro-life.
Depends on the circumstances.
The circumstance is, let's say, accidental pregnancy.
Accidental pregnancy would depend again on the circumstances.
Yeah, when nobody's life is in danger.
Okay, it would depend on the circumstances.
And the people who got pregnant are not poor.
It would depend on the circumstances.
Which circumstance would you actually agree with abortion being okay?
Okay, it's a very difficult. I'm not going to be talking about that subject specifically because I think it's full of pitfalls, and I do not want to go. I don't want to really discuss it. If that's fair.
Okay, so you see, this is an uncomfortable question.
No,
I
no,
can
it's
understand
not-
that.
it's
No,
not.
that's fine. You give your answer. No problem. I totally respect that.
If we move forward,
Yeah, I totally respect that. You see, this is an uncomfortable question, but the fact that there are like millions of children being aborted, and majority of them, more than 95% of them, okay, are because of accidental pregnancies, unplanned pregnancies, and their parents actually many times can afford it.
But
And
here's the thing.
no, but
Once
let
you
me
go-
just finish
no,
the
no,
point.
Here we go.
Okay.
I'm not going to go down this road.
I'm not asking you to answer that.
So let's just,
Let me make my point,
Yeah,
because
I've just
you
said
believe
to
in.
you- No, I've said to you.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Okay.
I've said to you, be my witness. I do not want to carry on with this part of the conversation.
Okay.
I would like you to move on.
Okay.
I don't want you to make a point because I've asked you politely to move on.
All right, that's fine. No problem. It's uncomfortable for you. That's fine. No problem. But it's the reality of life. If you want to not discuss about it, that's fine. I respect that. What about alcohol?
I don't drink.
I didn't say you did. I said, what about alcohol?
Alcohol is like.
Should it be banned or should it be permitted in the societies?
Here's the thing.
Yeah, go on.
You can have alcohol and you can have cigarettes.
Yeah. By the way, I don't drink or smoke, and I consider them both to be wrong.
I think that alcohol and cigarettes should be, if you choose to do it, it's up to you.
Really?
Again,
I thought you were against harming people.
I don't.
No, I didn't say you personally.
Well, I have alcohol maybe once a month, but very rarely, and I don't smoke. Never.
Once a month.
Once a month.
Okay. Do you know the finding from the scientific communities, and this is actually in peer-reviewed journals where they say no amount of alcohol is safe, and they have done thorough studies of this with thousands upon thousands of people that they have actually used in the studies. So even if you drink a small quantity, the perception before was that, oh, it is something that I just do for entertainment. It's good for the heart. You've heard all these things, isn't it? Even some doctors would say that. So, but the thing is, they neglect to tell you. The same doctors do not tell you about the other organs is damaging, like the liver, for
I
example.
don't agree. Where I don't agree with alcohol is like cigarettes as well. Both of them, I think, should be haram. Both of them. I don't agree with alcohol or cigarettes in the sense of overconsumption.
No, even a small quantity is bad. Not only overconsumption. Overconsumption is definitely wrong.
But then what is your opinion about cigarettes?
Same thing I just told you earlier. I said I disagree with both of them.
But
Both of them should not be permitted because both of them harm your body. It is something which is unnecessary. It is just entertainment. Yeah, it's not like you will die without that unless you're extremely addicted to it. And even that, there are ways you can actually wean yourself away from that addiction. Go to rehab if necessary. Okay, so I see drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, all of these harm your body. Whether you get addicted or not, even small quantities harm you.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm coming from. You see, In the Quran, we have a general ruling that anything that harms your body is something which should not be allowed. It's not permitted. And this includes, by the way, fatty food or food that harms you, all that stuff. Again, you have to be careful about what you eat and what you drink. So I'm not saying to ban food altogether. All I'm saying is that being sensible human beings, we should be careful about what we eat and drink. And if something is definitely wrong, like cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, then there should be no like question about maybe if once a month, all this shouldn't be there. It's bad for you. It's like how somebody will come and offer you poison and you'll immediately say, I don't want to take that because it's going to harm me.
Well, here's the thing. I'm following my routine, and I'm not doing bad.
I didn't say, look, when you say I'm not doing,
I'm not doing bad.
look.
I follow my routine.
No, when you say I'm not doing bad,
Yeah.
do you recognize like even once a month that alcohol harms you?
Well, like I said, I drink very little, very rarely. I think that I don't smoke. And
By the way, I don't want to make this
myself-
personal to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was talking generally.
Yeah, but
Okay?
I'm telling you that,
Yeah.
that you were talking about how I live my life. You were talking about the rules I base my life on.
Yes.
I base my life on my lived experience,
Yeah.
the things I got from my parents, and what I've learned, which is kind of good for me.
Yeah, I mean,
One-
generally you seem like a nice person. I mean, I'm not
One of the
denying that. All
one
I'm
of
saying
the
is that,
reasons- one of the reasons that
Yeah.
I have actually reduced my alcohol significantly. I did never drunk a lot anyway, but I've reduced it from maybe once every 2 weeks to once a month. Is because as I've gotten older, I've recognised the damage it does to you. So that is why I've reduced it, and I'll probably knock it on the head because I'm not a fan of it, because I can't sleep if I have. So my body says, you're not going to sleep.
you see, that's a good thing. You're reducing it, which is a positive thing you're doing. You're moving in the right direction. But you see, I was talking generally. Generally, the reason the government promotes these things, even though the government knows it harms you, is because the interest and the welfare of the people is not their priority.
The cash is the money. That the cash is the time.
Absolutely. So the bottom line is to pocket their, I mean, basically to line the pockets.
Yeah,
And the profit that comes from these things like alcohol and cigarettes is massive. It's huge. Do you know how many people die every day from alcoholism?
It's the same as smoking.
No. I think smoking is probably more.
And it's
But
obesity.
give me a rough idea. Let's see.
I have no idea, but if you look at the whole lot,
Yeah.
if you look at alcohol, obesity, and smoking, the figures are astronomical. And that the sad thing is that it's all self-administered.
Yeah. So more people die because of alcohol than the wars in the world.
I can accept that.
2.7 million people every year. Preventable deaths.
Yeah.
Now, if this is not a catastrophe around the world, then I don't know what is. So you see, when people come and tell me that I drink once a month, by the way, not to you, or once in 6 months, or whatever, that is not the point. The point here is that as an individual, when you see something wrong, you speak out against it. You don't try to join the bandwagon and say, okay, I'm not like these guys. I'm just doing it a bit. That's fine. So in Islam, you see, recognizing something good and bad is fundamental. And once you recognize something is bad, then it is not that, oh, I will do a little of those bad things.
So
It is
where are you going with this?
where I'm going with this is like, unless you follow the do's and the don'ts that come from God, we will always be in the situation of subjectivity. As to subjectivity, that means the good and bad will always be subjective. Maybe your sister, your brother might disagree with the good things that you do, and maybe you might disagree with the good
So
things they do.
Does that mean
Yeah.
that I'm any less capable of making a moral decision?
Yes, I'll tell you why. Because ultimately your biases, your whims and desires come in the way. Because it becomes like it's only based on my experiences that I decide to do what is good and bad. But your experiences might just be a fraction of what the world is.
But again,
You asked me a question, allow me to finish.
Yeah.
I'll give you a chance, don't worry. Okay? So you see, your experiences are again subjective. It is not the standard. What I mean by good and bad, I mean objectively good and objectively bad. It is not like, for example, take rape, for example. I don't think we would agree in any circumstance rape is good. Okay, so it's objectively wrong, right? So there are things which are objectively wrong, which everyone, regardless of whether you believe in religion or God, or you believe in whatever ideology, or you're an atheist or agnostic, you will come to a same common understanding. Same thing goes with murder, okay, which means like unjust killing of someone. And this is again wrong. So there are things which we generally as human beings do, consider to be right. But you see, there comes a time, like in our current society, take the case of Gaza. Yes, when genocide is happening right in front of our eyes, with all the footage, with the videos available to us today, and this is something no one can deny. Most of the countries today do not do much about it. They do not stop the arms export to Israel, for example, or to stop the genocide over there, or to exclude them from sports, or like they did with South Africa when they were, the ones who said it's okay to have apartheid in the country. We have apartheid in Israel. So you see, when we have humanity which is in conflict with morality and what is right and wrong, and at a major scale, at a world international scale, then this is where we see the problem being highlighted as to why we need God to tell us what is objectively wrong and what is objectively permitted.
So if I talk about what's going on in Nigeria now, or in
Yeah.
Congo, or in loads of other places in the world,
Yeah, anywhere where there is,
a million people are
yeah,
trafficked.
everywhere there is oppression, I'm against it. It doesn't matter if the Muslims are doing it, if the Jews are doing it, if the Christians are doing it, if the Hindus are doing it, or the Buddhists are doing it,
So again,
or regardless of atheists or whoever does it.
So again, we are in agreement that our standards
Yeah.
are actually quite similar. Our standards are actually quite similar because we're recognizing where injustice is.
Yes, yes. Generally we do, yeah.
So I'm using
Except for one topic you didn't want to talk.
But I don't want to talk about that topic because I don't want to talk about it.
No, except that I said. Other than that, that's fine.
Again.
Because to me, that is also injustice. An unborn child being killed is injustice.
Okay, we'll moving on.
Yeah, I know.
That.
Yeah,
Okay,
I said accept that.
Okay, so what is your ultimate goal here?
My ultimate goal here is that instead of humans deciding what is good and bad, we leave it up to God. That is the entire point I was making throughout this discussion, in case you didn't notice. I'm saying objective morality only comes from Almighty God, because human beings, as you and I both recognize that we are wrong in our lives. We make mistakes, we can be right about things, and we can be wrong about things. So if you're talking about morality, then I think it should leave that to the one who is the most just, the one who knows us, the one who created us, and he should be the one to dictate to us as to what is good and right, rather than some government who doesn't even care about our welfare when it comes to alcohol, cigarettes, and even drugs sometimes, like in Amsterdam,
Is our God, who's a better God then? Because if
I don't know your God yet, so I can't compare. Maybe your God is Allah. So I might be saying, let's,
if I believe in a God and you believe in a God, who is the better God?
No, look, the question.
Who is the better God?
Hold on. Before you say who's a better God, tell us a bit about your God. Because all you told me is,
I told you.
You told me something an atheist would also believe.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be a God-believing person to have the morals which you already told us about. They're very generic.
But I've said, this is. I believe there's something out there.
Yeah.
There's a heaven up there, and I believe that I have a standard of behaviour, maybe based on the fact there is something up.
But how do you know there's heaven up there? How do you know that?
How do you know?
I know from the Quran. How do you know?
I know because I believe there's something there.
Based on what?
Based on my belief.
But your belief is based on what?
Okay, so here's a question for you.
Oh, question with the question. Okay, I like that.
This is a good one.
Go on.
So here's the belief. So you believe in Islam,
Yes.
right? That Gabriel,
Jibreel alayhi salam, yeah.
An
angel.
Muhammad,
Yes.
over 23 years. Okay?
Yeah.
And
He brought the revelation over 23 years.
over,
He didn't appear
over
to him.
23
Yeah.
years. And the miracle was the resulting Quran, right? You believe that?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So my belief is something different, where I believe in a God that is up there, that is in heaven, that I choose to worship in my way, right? So who's the better God?
You haven't answered my question yet. You evaded it again. I asked you, how do you know what you believe is true, other than your own whims and desire?
I don't.
Okay, so no, look, my standard is the Quran. I've already made that very clear.
But again,
Let me finish.
That standard is based on a belief
Yes.
that you believe that a
Oh, we have a testimony from a man who did exist.
Yeah, but what I'm saying-
His name was Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. So we have his teachings, which are in. Allow me to finish, please, with all due respect.
Yeah, okay.
So I have a very clear standard as to what
Yeah.
comes from where, because I'm not just believing something like some mythology,
Yeah.
like the Hindus do. For example, you ask them to give us examples or evidence of Ram and Krishna
Yeah.
when they existed. Some of them say 800,000 years ago, like around the Ice Age, when there were no human beings around.
Yeah.
So my standard is realistic from the perspective. You see, I can show you the Quran and I can show you the miracle of the Quran. One of the challenges of the Quran is Allah says in the Quran that if you are in doubt, then produce a chapter like it, a chapter like the Quran. The smallest chapter in the Quran is only 3 lines. And to this day, for 1400 years, that challenge still stands. No one has produced a chapter like the one in the Quran of only 3 lines. In the time of Prophet Muhammad, there were actually scholars and there were people who were well versed in the language, and they couldn't meet the challenge, let alone today. So, hear me out. So, you see, I have a standard which can be established from evidence. In your case, it's purely blind faith from what I've heard so far. When I say blind faith, I don't mean that you ignore what is in the community and the society, because that society itself might be based, the
But I
morals of the
also-
society might be based on the Bible here.
But
You know?
I also said it was based on reading and looking at things. I
Yeah.
said from a reading and looking at perspective. Okay, so again, you believe in the prophet Jesus, don't you?
Yes, Isa alayhi salam. Yeah.
And you believe in the virgin birth, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you believe in the virgin birth, which again, a belief that maybe is one of the. It's like believing in a heaven can be ridiculous from that perspective. Then.
Yeah. Shall I respond to that? Okay.
Can.
What do you expect? What do you accept as evidence in your worldview? What would be acceptable evidence for anything?
Acceptable.
For anything.
I think you have to have a proof of concept. I guess a proof of concept would be
What do you mean proof of concept?
basically you've got factual and documentary evidence. You've got obviously the most reliable is a witness.
Is true?
The most reliable is a witness.
Yes. Okay. So eyewitness. Yeah.
Eyewitness.
Okay.
Then you have written testimony or evidence that's
Yeah.
presented written.
Very good. Yeah.
And then you have witnesses or documentation that can prove what's happened in the past.
Okay. So based on those 3 things, I can answer yes. We have all of that. We have actually a prophet whose testimony we base our belief on, and he was the eyewitness of those things. And the companions around him many times were the eyewitnesses of those things happen. It's well documented in the hadith, in the seerah of the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him. So we have all this. Which of these 3 do you have? Eyewitness, written testimony, or even from people whom you trust as testimony who actually observed it? Which of these 3 do you have?
But just a quick one.
Yeah.
Who actually wrote the Quran?
No. Before you ask me a question, answer my question. I'm sorry. I've answered your question. Now you answer my question. Which of these 3 evidences which you acknowledge, and I believe they do exist. So which of these do you believe do you base your faith on?
Okay. Let's just go back to this.
Are you going to answer the question?
I will, but I'm going to interject.
Without a question, please.
I'm going to interject first. A conversation is about 50-50. Now I'm standing back here and you've had about 75 to 80% of the conversation time.
It's been recorded. We'll leave it up to the audience.
You play it back.
No, we'll maybe that's your perception, but we'll leave it. Every time I ask you a question or you ask me a question, we allowed each other to answer. But I've noticed many times, and this is more than 50% of the time, instead of you answering the question directly, I had to repeat it until you answered me without a question.
But again, going back,
Yeah.
all I can tell you is that I've lived long enough to know that I'm, in my own world perspective, I feel like I am on the right path.
Fair enough. That's your feeling. That's
Yeah,
your no problem.
that's how
I respect that.
Yes.
But in terms of the evidences which you cited, you have none of that?
The evidence I've cited is all I know is I've read books, I've read the Bible, I've read some of the Quran, but in my life I've just based my life on a set of beliefs from my parents, what society has taught us right and wrong, and then from lived experience.
Okay,
of
fair enough.
learning.
No problem. So this is based mostly on your experience
Yes.
within your whatever environment you
And to be
lived
fair,
in.
that's
And look,
totally
I'm not
valid.
saying you don't have experience, and you have read and you have studied even Islam. I can tell from the terminologies that you use and so on. So I'm not denying any of that. But one thing to be fair is that the three types of evidences which you acknowledge, you have none of that. Okay, because if you had, you would have told us by now. Now that's fine. Look, let's move forward. You believe in the day of judgment?
I think it will come. I
Okay.
don't know what that'll look like. I'm not
No, neither do I. We don't know what it's going. We are giving certain glimpses of it in the Islamic literature, but
It
none of
doesn't
us.
look too good for women, though.
No. Hold on. By the way, whether women or men, one thing in Islam is clear:
Yeah.
that Allah will not judge you based on your gender, or whether you're white or black, or you're rich or poor, you're Arab or non-Arab. Allah will base you on your piety.
So
He'll judge you based on your piety.
So what's the woman's version of heaven?
No. Before you ask me that,
I
let's.
have to ask you that.
That's fine. That's fine. By the way, in the Quran.
I just feel like it's a good question to ask.
Okay,
Sorry.
I will answer that question. Remind me later, but I don't want to
It's just-
stop the thought.
He's laughing in the background. When
I have no idea why you laugh. But anyway, if we go based on Islam, Islam is very clear about who goes to heaven and who goes to hell, and it includes both men and women. It's not just men, all right? And Allah tells us in the Quran that whatever they desire in Jannah, they will have it. Okay, there are certain things which Allah gives us glimpses of, and He gives us an idea, but there's no way. It basically says, I think, in the Quran and also in the Bible, that there are things which your eyes have never seen, your mind has never thought about, and your ears have never heard about it. So this, I believe, is something that is for the akhirah, for the unknown, dimension there. What we know so far is that in this world, we are sent with a purpose. Okay, you said your purpose was to generally for the welfare of people, for your own welfare and so on. That's fine. Generally, is good. But what is the biggest thing or the biggest sin you think is in Islam?
I have no idea.
Okay, it's not murder, it's not rape, it's not even genocide. The biggest sin is to reject Allah as God. Okay, and associate partners with Him. This is called shirk. So this is the first pillar in Islam: to believe in Allah and to believe in the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, as a final messenger. Why I say this is the biggest sin? Because you see, the reason these murders and genocides and rapes and things like this happen is because these people have stopped believing in the consequences of their actions. They have gone away from God. If they did believe in God and obey God, then these things wouldn't happen. So it's all rooted because you have stopped, not you personally, people have stopped believing and worshipping the true God and His guidelines. They went, Allah says in the Quran that people have made their own whims and desires as gods besides Allah. Because for them, that is the final say. That I have decided that this is good for me, so it's going to be good. No matter what people say, it will not change their mind. So this is like you have made your own desire, because we human beings are fallible. Yeah, we make mistakes, like you acknowledged earlier. So anything that we say could be wrong. Anything that we see could be a perception of something which is not true, perhaps. So we go back to what God said as to what is right and wrong, and the biggest sin which Allah will not forgive if you die upon
I
it.
don't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah, that's fine, no problem. If you're
I
tired.
know I think the sun.
Yeah, sure. If you want to come out of the sun, you can stand here. If that
I'm going to
helps.
sit because I'm getting a bit of sunshine. So,
Okay. Do you want some water?
have you got some?
Yeah, I can get you some. Brother, can you get a bottle of water, please? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No problem. No. It's very important to remain hydrated in this
I
weather.
don't mean to be rude.
No, you're not rude at all. Yeah, that's fine. So you see, this is the biggest sin in Islam: shirk, associating partners with Allah, which comes in many forms. It's not like you worship another god only, but it's also like making your own whims and desire as your God besides Allah, because you have made yourself as the judge of what is good and bad at the end of the day. So what do you make of that so far?
How do you, just from my perspective, how do you know that Muhammad is the last prophet, the last messenger?
He's the final messenger. Okay,
Yeah.
so first, even before answering whether he's the last messenger or not,
Thank
we
you
want
so
to know.
much. Thank you.
We want to know whether he is actually even a messenger or a prophet of God. So you see, if you read the seerah, if you read the biography of Prophet Muhammad, you will come to the understanding that for 40 years of his life, he was like a normal person. And the people in his community called him Al-Amin,
Yeah.
okay? As-Sadiq and all this, like the truthful one, the one whom they trusted in.
Right.
And so that was the general life he lived. People used to bring their belongings as safekeeping with him, and they knew that he would return it back to them. So they trusted him. All right. So he was known as the truthful, the trustworthy one. Okay. And one day when an
I'll
angel,
stand up in a minute so I can-
yeah, one day in his life, an angel appeared to him while he was meditating alone, when he was sitting alone in the cave of Hira. And he, an angel appeared to him. He didn't know it was an angel. He got frightened, obviously, like anyone would, when someone comes to you, right, when you're sitting in a secluded place like a cave, and also someone you didn't know. It was some stranger, because he came in the form, I think, in the form of a man. And so he got frightened, and he went back to his wife. His wife comforted him, and his wife took him to her cousin, okay, Waraka. He was actually a Christian, and she narrated the story to him, and he said that this is something that he's aware of. Like previous prophets and messengers, they also got revelation through this angel, Gabriel, okay? And he said to her and to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that I wish I lived long enough to be amongst
Who
them.
were the previous prophets that the angels gave messages to?
Lots of them. Moses, even Mary. Remember Mary,
Yes.
when she was in seclusion, an angel appeared to him saying that you will be blessed with a son. Okay, so many people in fact, most of the prophets in the Bible, they got an angel who delivered the message to them, because the Bible and the Quran are of the view that you cannot see God in this world and live. So anybody who's saying, "Oh, can I see God?" they're basically calling for suicide. Okay, because this is something that they cannot stand. And in fact, there was a time when Moses asked God to reveal himself to him, because Moses is known as a friend of God. Okay, sorry, the one who talked to God, Kalimatullah, and he is he's known as the one who God spoke to directly, like without an agent of an angel. So he asked one day he asked God, "Can you show me yourself?" And God told him that, "Look at that mountain. If that mountain is still standing there, then you will be able to see me." So when he actually showed his nur, or his light, to the mountain crumbled to dust, to ash, and he fainted. That is the power. So this wasn't even a direct vision to him. Maybe it was reflected on the mountain and to him then. So even the mountain became ash. So anyone who claims that I want to see God in this world, they're basically asking for death, instant death. But that's not the point. The point here is going back to Prophet Muhammad. So yes, his example was such that in his life, he was not someone who was learned. He didn't know how to read and write.
Did he sin?
Did he sin? No. His entire life was sinless. And in fact, when I say sinless, means like he did not deliberately commit sin. All right? We don't have any evidence of that.
He didn't deliberately commit sin.
Yeah, like the other prophets, they did not deliberately. In fact, we say that even Adam did not deliberately sin at the beginning.
But
He forgot that God told him not to eat of the... He could sin, yeah, of course.
But
So,
it wasn't deliberate.
could Jesus sin?
Yes.
Yeah. So all prophets could sin because they're all human beings. They all have the potential to sin.
Look, I don't mean to be rude.
No, that's
I'm
fine.
going to go and get away from the sun.
Yeah.
Because
Fair
I'm
enough.
Gonna,
Yeah, I know.
I need to.
It's not right for your health. Yeah.
It's my fair
Yeah.
skin.
So yeah, go and read the biography or the seerah of Muhammad. There's one called The Sealed Nectar. Read it and you'll understand that how can someone who didn't know how to read and write produce a book like the Quran, which is inimitable.
Well,
It cannot be his...
That's one of the questions I asked, because
Yeah.
obviously the revelation was over 23 years.
Yes.
So it would have been, and there's not much. If I think about the revelation, to be fair,
Yeah.
for the length of the Quran, it doesn't seem there was really much revealed over that time.
I think there's a lot revealed in a very concise book.
Okay.
Okay. Today, the majority of the people who actually memorize that book is the Quran. So the Quran, even though the people who are non-Arabs, majority of them, majority of Muslims, like 80% are non-Arabs.
Yeah.
And we got like millions of people who have memorized this from cover to cover. Yeah, no problem.
I'm so sorry.
What? My name is Hashim, by the way.
I wouldn't shake your hand.
No. What's your name?
Gail.
Gail.
Nice to
You,
meet you.
likewise. You take care, and may God guide us all to the right path. Yeah. Right. May Allah give the sister hidayah. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.